Sobs and Throbs like we do on Saturdays. So let's start with the message. My wish. Ashokji, you want to start?
Yes. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. My wish, the lover has to keep the wish of the beloved. My wish for my lovers is as follows. 1. Do not shirk your responsibilities. 2. Attend faithfully to your worldly duties, but always keep at the back of your mind that all this is Baba's. 3. When you feel happy, think, Baba wants me to be happy. When you suffer, think, Baba wants me to suffer. 4. Be resigned to every situation and think honestly and sincerely, Baba has placed me in this situation. 5. With the understanding that Baba is in everyone, try to help and serve others. 6. I say with my divine authority to each and all that whosoever takes my name at the time of breathing his last comes to me. So do not forget to remember me in your last moments. Unless you start remembering me from now on, it'll be difficult to remember me when your end approaches. You should start practicing from now on. Even if you take my name only once every day, you will not forget to remember me in your dying moments. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai.
Jai Baba, thank you so much. So, where are we? We are in chapter 19 of Sobs and Throbs. We stopped at the end of chapter 18, and we are reading the story of Ali and his second episode. And we start with the chapter of many elements. And Mamaji, you can start.
Chapter 19, I think.
Yes, chapter 19. Sorry, what did I say?
Chapter of many events. Before I describe Ali's further adventures, it would not be a bad plan to narrate some of the important events that took place about the master in the meantime. On the 14th of September, His Holiness seemed to be very indisposed when, out of the new candidates, a Hindu lad named Tukaram insisted upon the master to transfer his sufferings to him. It was only when the master gave a solemn promise to get well in 2 days that Tukaram got pacified. It was due to this promise, as well as to the great insistence of the other boys, that the master took a little milk on the 16th of September after remaining 5 days on tea without milk. As a further example of how deeply the new candidates were affected during the latest outburst of spirituality amongst them, I would like to narrate the following incident. While passing along the master's seat, the Meher Manzil, one morning, somewhere during this time, I chanced to find him seated there, surrounded by the boys, and so I went in to pay my usual respects. The first question that the master put to me was, "How does my face look?" "Quite as usual," I replied. Still, he conveyed, "Last night was a terrible one for me. Throughout the night, my temperature was about 105. My limbs have gone limp. The back is all sore. I could not rest even for a second last night. Had you been in my place, you would have dropped your physical coat body through this suffering and pain." Then, abruptly changing the subject, the master turned to one of the there, youngest boys there, named Pandit, and conveyed, "Tell me what you want. God, freedom, paradise, motor car, toys, or anything else that you like the best. This is the right moment. Ask and it will be given to you instantly. Much I, as much I, much I have become used to hear lofty sentiments from little lips, I was not prepared for the startling reply that this boy on the right side of it gave. I want your sufferings to cease, was all that the little Pandit could speak very modestly. Another peculiar incident about the master with which Ali was apprised of through a dream in Bombay, as well as will be seen later on, was that he remained without his daily baths and change of linen for a period of 18 days, ending 21st of September 1928. Although the opening ceremony had been gone through as early as the 1st of September, it was the 23rd of that month that the master and the selected boys occupied the second new seat named Meher Manzil and the new premises of the Prem adjoining the same respectively after fresh ceremonies and celebrations. But there is quite a story intermingled with the miracles about this occupation. It so happened that about this time, a great scarcity of rainfall was felt all around Toka to such an extent that, according to the prevailing customs amongst the Hindus, the local villagers in general and the farmers in particular indulged in all sorts of ceremonies and rituals, which also included a whole night procession. I'll just come back. Okay. Sorry, I'll continue. Round the town with all the tom-toms that it could command, but all to no purpose. The atmosphere continued to remain as dry as dust, threatening the farmers with famine. The superintendent of the Meher Ashram, Mr. Behram Faridun Irani, one of the chief disciples of the master, in the course of a conversation with the village police patel on this very question, happened to advise him to approach the master with their prayers for rain. The gentleman at first paid no heed to Mr. Behram's casual remarks, but probably when all the possible avenues of hope had been fruitlessly exhausted, that he thought the better of it. On the morning of the 16th of September, the village police patel at last approached the master in company of some of the other villagers and humbly solicited his blessings for a good shower. Possibly because the prayer had originated through the suggestion of one of his beloved disciples, the master readily granted the boon and conveyed, "It will soon begin to rain now." Within less than an hour of this reply of the master, clouds began to gather over Toka, and the bright and hot morning suddenly went cold and dark. Nay, a few minutes more and it began to rain. And it was not a passing shower. Almost for the whole week, it rained cats and dogs at Toka, greatly inconveniencing all the inhabitants of Mehrabad, housed as they were in temporary structures which were not constructed in view of such an extraordinary downpour. But the peculiar and rather humorous point about it was that although the master conveyed that he wanted himself and the boys to shift into a new premises of Meher Manzil and the Prem Ashram, he would not do so until it stopped raining. Twice it was decided on such of the evenings as promised a dry day on the morrow to bring about the occupation of the premises, and both times the matter was shelved as it did not stop raining. At last, the master gave the following final decision about this occupation on the 22nd of September in these words: if there is no rain tomorrow from dawn till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the boys and myself will shift into the new quarters. Otherwise, the question will be put off for a month or two. The Premi boys and many amongst the disciples could not help getting greatly disheartened at his strange declaration, and particularly with the prospect of another gap of a month or two that it held. But then the master added, if all of you feel so much about it, pray with heart and soul, and it will not rain tomorrow. The fateful dawn of the 23rd of September came, and there was no rain. Yet the stray black patches of threatening clouds hovering over Toka remind Mr. Behram of the Patel's part in the matter which he himself sent for Patel. I didn't understand. The fateful dawn of the 23rd of September came, and there was no rain. Yet the stray
Let's
black
let's
patches of
let's
threatening clouds
yeah,
hovering over Toka remind Mr. Behram of the
reminded.
Patel's part in the
Yeah. So
matter which made him send for Patel.
correct. So I think is it clear now?
Yes,
Yet
yes.
the stray black. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. The excessively wet weather had already played havoc with the old Patel's failing health, and although he was laid up with fever and cold, he obeyed the call. Have we had enough water now? Was naturally the first question with which Mr. Behram greeted the sick man, who acknowledged in no uncertain terms the bountiful blessing of the Master and added, but to take full advantage of this blessing in our fields, the rain must stop now. This is just what we want, said Mr. Behram. And so I suggest that you should again present yourself for the master's service and appeal to him to get the rain stopped. The Patel readily fell in with this advice, but while requesting the master for the stoppage, he was found to be very hesitating lest the monsoon may completely terminate and there and then, and so they and so was careful enough in asking, we would please like to have a dry atmosphere now, but of course it must rain again after a week or so for some days. The master smiled, probably at his guarded prayer, and was pleased to convey, it will stop raining now, and you will also get some more showers after a week as desired by you. And just according to these words, not a single drop fell that day till 2 o'clock, with the result of the occupation of the Meher Manzil and the new Prem Ashram already mentioned. From that afternoon, the atmosphere remained dry, save for an occasional stray shower, until about a week, when it again rained sufficiently to satisfy the inhabitants of Toka. Now let us have a look at these mysterious new premises, as since the day they were occupied, none save certain disciples and workers used to be allowed access thereto. No sooner one would enter the colony from the river side at a stone's throw from the banks of the ever-sparkling Godavari than a compound enclosed with bamboo railings about 30 yards in length was prominently visible amidst the cluster of green trees and bushes. About 10 feet away from the bamboo railings, there was another one made of bamboo mattings fixed against rafters 6 feet high, which enclose the rest of the inner compound from all the four sides, giving an inner space of about 30 into 30 yards, shut out from onlookers. One of the two peculiar structures that jutted out from the inner compound was the original box seat of the master, but which, since its removal here, was occupied by Chota Baba. The other right in the middle was, and probably will remain for a long time, the master's new seat, the Meher Manzil. It is solidly built in lime and bricks with a peculiar dome as a roof, having three windows on three sides and a door facing the river side. It is 7 feet into 7 feet in space. The inner compound on the eastern boundary was the Premashram quarter, divided into 32 rooms, each 7 feet by 4, with 3 feet passage in the middle. On the western side was the master's inner seat made of bamboo matting, adjoining a special dhuni. The rest of the well-paved space used to provide the playground and open-air meeting place for the inmates. 6 days after the occupation of the Premashram, a letter was received from Ali in Persian, a translation of which is reproduced here. Bombay, 24th September 1928. Respected Kaikushru, it will be coming in the next 3 or 4 weeks, but will not take the Nagar line as the people there as well as the police know me. But if I come within 2 weeks, will take the Aurangabad line. That is via Manmad and not Dound. But I will never take the Nagar route, or I may go to Upper India. By God, the love of Baba would not lessen a bit in my heart, even if my head be cut off. If opportunity presents itself, I would surely come, as you will see. Either I will take poison or will come to Baba. This letter is written by from Ali.
This is written by Ali. This is written by Chota Baba Ali.
Chota Baba.
Ali. Yeah.
Oh God, I do not know what to do all these days and how to escape, as my father and 3 other persons are on constant watch upon me, which Baba already knows. Please speak to Baba on my behalf. He who deprived me of union with my beloved, may his heart be the target of thousands of sword slashers. I have kissed this letter as it is to reach your hands. If Baba so ordains, I may come soon. At present, this humble servant is staying near Paidovine behind the chowki. The letter
So is
speaks for
that a Bombay address? Paidoni behind Chowki.
Paidoni.
Looks like a old Bombay address.
Maybe. The letter speaks for itself and needs no comments. One more was received from Ali previous to his second bid for freedom, but is untraceable. The main gist of it was a pathetic appeal to the master, inviting a swift death either for himself or his father as the only way out of his sufferings. Just to provide a fresh example of how on flimsy grounds, though in good faith, these Mughals have been causing so much pain and privations to their own kith and kin. Another little hero of the Meher Ashram is introduced here. It will be remembered that on the day Ali was taken away, on the strength of a legal writ. Some others had also been given up. One of them, Abdul Wahab, aged about 12, had returned long since to Toka after passing through many painful privations for his small age. The same day that the letter from Ali was received, 29th of September, the brother of the boy turned up once again and took poor little Abdul Wahab away the second time. However, he could not help remarking, personally, I like the boy to remain here, but I cannot bear the taunts and remarks of my religion is against me on that account. Within 2 or 3 days, Abdul Wahab's brother again came to Toka to the great surprise of the ashram authorities and began to demand him. It transpired then that the plucky little boy had once again given the slip to his brother the very day they had reached Bombay, but he, the boy, had so far not returned to Toka. In order to convince the gentleman the truth of the situation, the authorities suggested to him to stay till such time the boy returned when he could take him back. But perseverance of the boy was too much for his brother's prejudices, and he went away saying, you keep the boy now when he returns and inform me about it. And lo, the very next day, Master Abdul Wahab returned to Toka all smiles. A telegram was at once sent to his brother apprising him of the boy's return, when in reply the authorities received this letter in broken English from him. Bombay, 9th September, I think. Dear sir, I am in receipt of your telegram, 9th October 1928. Dear sir, I am in receipt of your telegram. I became very glad when I knew that my brother is there with you. At present, keep him with you and teach some education. Kindly inform me about his knowledge, health, and how he is getting on now. At your earliest convenience, I will send his clothes by parcel, which please tell him. Give my best compliments to Mr. Kaikushru Sahib, to my brother and all. I am, dear sir, your most obedient servant, signed Ali Akbar.
Okay, let's take a pause here uh,
Yes,
and
yes.
also rotate reading. So I think the rain incident is not the first time that this has happened, right? The miracle of rain or request of Baba's lovers for rain and Baba heeding that. What is interesting is the pains he takes to ensure that there is a possibility of deflecting it on the love of the lover. So even in this example, he says, "You pray, and then it will stop." Right? So he's trying to deflect. He takes great efforts in deflecting and having an almost an alibi for the miracle, right? So I wanted to point that little aspect in the story as we are reading the Toka Rains, and of course Ali's grittiness and this new Abdul Wahab attempts to come back. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Any other comments? And before we
Yeah,
continue,
Good,
Karthik,
good
rain
point,
is always the presence of. I mean, Baba has said that even in today, if it rains, anywhere it rains, it is a proof of my presence. So rain is a
lovely.
blessing from the Lord. I heard this from Dr. Gardekar and many other um, old Baba lovers who had spent time with him. So rain is a blessing.
Sure, sure. So, great. So you want to continue reading, Ashok, for 15, 20
Yes,
minutes?
yes.
Is it okay? Does that work? Okay, great.
The
Thank you,
chapter of
Mamaji, and
wedding
over
events.
to you, Ashok. Yeah,
Yes.
Before we continue,
sure.
uh, regarding the sort of miracles that have happened with Baba's prompting, is there any other incidents like this?
There
Later
is,
life, I think Baba did not do these things. He also gave in his message that don't ask miracles from me.
oh yeah, yeah. I think that's not even in the later years. Right from the beginning, he was very, very careful to not ascribe his doing to anything
Yes,
that happened which was on the lines of a miracle. Point number one. Point number two, yes, he has actually said I do not do miracles. And point number three, I think right when he was there and to date, there are clearly examples where one sees the suspension of the working of natural principles, which is what one would say scientifically is a miracle in all our lives. Haven't we all seen it, right?
yes,
Or
yes,
at least I have seen it. But I think he wants to move away from the other avataric advents where the focus, or more than the focus, the test that is applied for divinity is the conduct of miracles. If you look at
yes,
Jesus onwards, the test of divinity is, hey, what can you do to show me that you're God? So he very, very deftly, I would say, moved away from that right in the beginning. In the beginning of his advent itself, he moved away from that. And in fact, he is famously quoted to say Jesus was relegated to a fourth planar because he was judged on his miracles.
yes,
Because what he could do as the miracles that are attributed by the religion are something of a mere fourth planar, to quote him, or words to that effect, which give you the actual scope of what an avatar can do and how miracles are a way of cheapening or reducing his greatness.
yes, yes.
Yeah, even the
Yeah,
sainthood were later after Jesus was given based on the miracles a particular
yeah,
saint had done. Yeah,
yeah. It still happens. It's a formal
yeah,
process of the church. It's
yes,
called
yes,
canonization,
yeah,
and it's a codified process where it goes through multiple checks, and they
yeah.
actually test if it is done as a. I mean, it really happened, and
Okay,
then after that, they canonize the person as a saint. The last
yes.
famous canonization was, of course, with an
Mother
Indian link.
Teresa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. Okay,
This
so
this rain thing
any
also happened. This story was in
in
Toka, right? This
Arangam,
also.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Jai Baba.
Yeah, it also happened in Arangam. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Jai Baba.
yeah. Any other thoughts, comments before we continue?
No, okay.
Okay, please. Yeah, Shobji.
Yeah. Now that Abdul Wahab has prominently crept into the story, it is but meet that I should describe at least regarding his latest. I will restrict myself to the description I had from his own lips, less comments to make it as he said. After we reached Bombay, perhaps in order to tempt me in forgetting all about Baba, my brother brought me a fountain pen, a pair of fancy eyeglasses, a toothbrush, a belt, a pencil sharpener, and other odds and ends. In the evening, while going home, my brother suddenly remembered to buy some salt. Leaving me standing opposite a pan shop, he went to a grocer's shop nearby. Shouting behind my back that I was going to get a whistle, I began to run from one lane to another, with, with which the Nail Bazaar locality is so full of, with my brother's vain protest ringing in my ears, asking me not to go. In the excitement of the moment, I came face to face with some members of my community who knew me well, but I managed to give them the slip by hiding myself in a gutter. Then I came to Victoria Terminus. Though through fear of being traced out, I could not think clearly as what to do next. However, I slipped into a local train and came to Baikala. From there, I again went to the terminus. Then from there, once again, I came to Baikala. This time, I went to the third class booking office and unintentionally the word Nasik escaped my lips in return to the clerk's inquiry as to what ticket I wanted. Quite automatically, I got onto a platform where someone told me in reply to my inquiry, "This is the train for Nasik." I got into this train and really found it was bound for Nasik and beyond. I got down at Nasik and began to walk about in a certain direction without any idea of going to Toka, but simply to avoid being traced by brother. After walking some miles, I came across a motor bus and requested for a lift to the next village. The driver asked 8 annas, but eventually I settled with him for 6 annas and thus came to the village. Name not remembered. There was a hill with some buildings on the top near this village. I thought I was near Ahmednagar and that perhaps this may be the site of the old Mehrabad. So I began to climb it. However, I soon found out my mistake. The hill proved very steep and full of holes and cavities that frightened me. While the building at top turned out to be a Hindu temple, I retraced my steps, but while coming down, it began to rain heavily. I got drenched to the skin, and in order to get under cover, I began to run towards the same village. But I soon found myself in a bush full of thorns. In spite of my best attempts, my soles got pierced by many of the thorns there until I encountered a farmer who was good enough to lead me to the main road. After reaching the village, I took stock of my cash and found that I had only 10 annas left. Out of these, I bought parched rice and gram for 2 pice, and thus easing my hunger a bit. I came to Nasik in a motor bus, paying 8 annas for the lift. Here I made inquiries as to how to reach Ahmednagar and was informed to go via Manmad. I managed to get into a train unobserved without a ticket for Manmad. On the way, a policeman caught of me and began to threaten me with arrest on suspicion. I succeeded in shaking him off by offering him the pencil sharpener that my brother had recently bought for me. From Manmad, I began to walk along the railway line towards Nagar and reached the station of Ankai on foot. Here I was puzzled as to which line to follow since one is also going towards Aurangabad from the station. Somehow, after making myself sure that I was on the right track, I proceeded from Ankai and walked a distance of about 3 miles. Here my physique failed me. The 2 pice worth of rice and gram that I had taken during these 24 hours were not enough to stop me from feeling very hungry and run down. I could not help dropping down there and going to sleep along the railway lines. The rush and rumble of a passing train, however, awakened me soon, and the food was the only thing I began to yearn for now. So I retraced my steps once again towards the station of Ankai. On the way, I met a man. I have offered him the anna and a half I had in exchange for something to eat. The man insisted on seeing what else I had upon my person and selected a fountain pen in the lot and offered a piece of bread and a promise to smuggle me in the train for Nagar in exchange for that. Of course, I struck the bargain and returned for that blessed pen, got bread and a little chutney, which I devoured greedily. In the meantime, another man turned up and offered to give me some more bread, and when I fell in with this suggestion, the first man again joined us and advised me to present the eyeglasses I still had with me to the former. Thus, in exchange for the eyeglasses, I got a fresh piece of bread. By this time, the train for Ahmednagar came into the station of Ankai, and true to the promise, these men smuggled me into a third class compartment. I arrived at Ahmednagar, where I managed to get action the master's loving personality holds for these little ones to make them go through such daredevil situations. Now, to pick up the narrative proper, on the morning of the 3rd of October, the master suddenly set out from Toka for an apparently aimless spin in a motor car. This trip, besides ending in a meeting of the has since proved memorable in many other. The master particularly included Ali Akbar, another Mughal boy who was in deep who was deep in love with the master and hence nicknamed by him in the party accompanying him. From Tok to one of the master's disciples, Mr. Satha, at Ahmednagar, where they halted for some time and took refreshment. About noon, they left for Nasik. On the outskirts of Ahmednagar, near the tomb of the well-known saint Bapu Sahib, the car crossed another one. Her Holiness Hazrat Babajan of Pune graced this car. Probably the master had come to Ahmednagar for meeting his own master, and the words of Count Hermann Kieserling, the significance of an event must not be judged by those professed intentions that accompany it, but rather by its results, quite fit in with this event. On the 5th of October, the master returned once again to Ahmednagar at 1:30 in the afternoon and again graced Mr. Sata's place near the cotton market where where it was already decided to halt for the rest of the day and then proceed to Aurangabad the following morning. A special seat was gracefully prearranged for the master in the house, but mysteriously, the moment he sat upon it, he got up and betook himself to the little garden in front of the house where he took his seat on a chair. In a second, the mystery got unraveled. A car came dashing along the road adjoining this garden and stopped at a little distance away. Again, Hazrat Babajan was occupying this car. Thus, the two masters had crossed each other twice from a long distance for the same purpose best known to them. However, the master conveyed this much. Babajan has come again and I have now become free and cancelled of staying there the whole day. According to Aurangabad, it was nearly dusk when they crossed the river Godavari and entered HEH, the Nizam's dominion, and stopped there within a distance of a mile from Meherabad. Here, the master instructed Ali Akbar, the Majnu, to retire and then sent for Chota Baba and Mr. S.A. Abbas Khak, one of his deeply devoted Muslim disciples. But accompanying this pair, there came the last thought of the most Ali, the hero.
Okay, we can pause here and rotate the reading. By the way, just as input, are you on the mobile or on the laptop, Ashok? I
I'm on
think
the laptop.
there's still audio,
Oh,
patches
my
of,
apologies.
yeah,
Cutting
patches
off.
of audio,
Audio was
yeah, cutting
breaking
off,
here and
yeah. And then apologies from myself. I thought I was on mute when I headed to the bathroom. Sorry. So let me show you. I thought before we continue, we'll see these places, right? Toka, Aurangabad, Nashik, and so oh, there is a Meher Baba temple there. Wow. Okay. Is there a photograph?
Toka.
Yeah, this is Toka. Yeah. Okay, so where is Toka? So let's see Toka versus all the other places
On the
mentioned.
way to Aurangabad, right? Between Ahmednagar and Gangapur, yeah. Still,
So if it's Ahmednagar to
Toka
Gangapur.
and
Yes, Gangapur. Yeah, Gangapur.
still further is
Which
where is
is
Aurangabad?
Aurangabad
Yeah,
is
here.
yes, correct.
Yeah, Toka is there.
So then Shirdi is here. Where
Rahuri
is
is there.
Rahuri is here. And where is Aurangabad?
Aurangabad is
I mean,
above.
not Aurangabad, not Nasik.
Nasik is on the left, right? On the map.
Okay,
Nasik
Nasik.
here.
Oh, yeah,
Here.
it's a huge town. Yeah, it's here. Yeah. Okay. All right. So gives you some context, right? Where these places are. And obviously, Baba was doing something with the Hazrat Babajan with those two visits in
Kopargaon,
2 days. Yes.
Shirdi is also here. Yeah, Kopargaon.
Yeah, here. Shirdi is here, and then Kopargaon is here. So Maharashtra is not named randomly, right? Maharashtra is really Maharashtra, right? So many blessed places there, and so many masters that it really deserves the epithet of being great.
Capital of spiritual personalities.
Absolutely. For this Advent, no argument. I'm biased towards Tamil Nadu, but this Advent, of course. Culturally, my heart is more on the Tamil Nadu South and so on and so forth. So that's me. Anyway, so I didn't realize it was also the end of that chapter. So this is an interesting chapter where we saw this miracle. We saw the move to the new building in Toka, and uh, we got a second introduction or an introduction of another prominent side hero. I wouldn't say he's the hero. Hero will be Ali Abdul Wahab and his experiences of uh, escaping escaping from family and coming back. So and how they were chased by the family to get them back home and so on. So interesting. What's also amusing is the context of the world that was the India that was at that time, right? So you could get away from a cop by giving a sharpener. You could get a piece of bread for a spectacle and another piece of bread. What was it? A fountain pen, right? I mean, it tells you, it paints the picture of how the country was at that time. I don't think any of that is even relevant. We are too commercial. And of course, I don't think poverty also exists in the level that existed then, right? Any other thoughts before we go to chapter 20?
Did we finish the previous chapter completely?
Yes.
Okay. Because there was a bit of a break here and there when
When he was reading, yes. But yes, he read right through, and I think we lost a few sentences in between. Yes.
Yes.
Sorry for the technology, but I didn't realize that.
Maybe
we were
the only
reading
solution
from
is so maybe the solution is you should get a new router because you've been having issues with your. I don't think it's your hardware because I've not seen hardware problems. Hardware problems are binary with audio, right? Either it works or it doesn't. Whereas the quality just drops. So I think it's more to do with your Wi-Fi router. Maybe
Okay.
because you've been having problems for 3 years now.
No, it was
Right.
okay. It's
Okay.
maybe because today there's some clouds. I don't know whatever. Anyway.
Okay, no problem. Just technical input. That's it. All right. Who's the next volunteer to read?
I can read.
Yeah. Great. After that, Sanjay, I saw you unmute as well. So I'm staying away from reading today because of my throat. Thank you. Ravi, please go ahead. Chapter 20.
Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Love trims again. Love had triumphed again, almost the same hour that the master had conveyed the words, I have now become free, at Ahmednagar, that Ali had suddenly turned up at Toka. After taking him to Bombay, at the end of the dramatic and unsuccessful second bid for freedom, his father had put Ali in a night school in Bombay near the JJ Hospital so that he could personally keep watch over the slippery customer of a son during his schooling. As was likely to happen in view of the boy's love, distractions, and pangs of separation, he could make no headway in the school where his class teacher could not help taking him for a regular dunce, and often used to threaten him with reports to his father regarding his great disregard and carelessness for the lessons. Although Ali now did not remain without food completely, as he did during the first short separation of 6 days, a slice of or two of bread, a little butter, and tea every day were the only things that kept him going during the prolonged separation. The only enjoyment that the boy now used to indulge in daily was to buy some flowers worth 6 to 8 annas and lovingly put them over the gulla of Imam Hussein in his father's shop. A cash box is called gulla, right? Gulla. And many Mohammedan houses and shops have such special boxes in which spare money is collected from time to time in the name of. Can you pull it up? Karthik?
Yeah. I think it's Galla. Galla is the word. Yeah.
Gulla. A saint, and then disturbed and dispersed after ceremonies on the saint's birthday or death anniversary. Although Ali has not ceased to revere the great Muslim Imam, on the contrary, unlike the majority of his community, he also recognizes the illustrious Imam as one of the perfect masters of his age, but as a worthy spiritual aspirant that he is, he used to put these flowers on the box with the only thoughts of Hazrat Meher Baba. He knew well that his hostile surroundings would never allow him to remember the object of his heart in any other way, and so the love lost yet very intelligent little boy devised this fine and at the same time most significant way out for his feelings. Besides various other attempts that his father made in bringing round Ali to his own orthodox point of view, he once again tried to overawe Ali with pompous dignitaries and awe-inspiring officials when he took him forcefully into the presence of the president of the community and the Persian consul at Bombay. Even that traitor, J, was timely arranged to appear on the scene, but all their arguments, threats, and temptings once again proved fruitless. The inborn love in Ali made him face all of them bravely and unflinchingly. I wish the lad had heard these handsome lines of the great Muslim mystic philosopher and poet Amir Khusrau against his too many interlocutors. Locutors. Kafir-e-ishkam Musalmani mara darkar nist. Har ragiman thar gast-e hazat-e zunar nist. I am the infidel begotten of love.
Do we want to try to see if Mahu can read us for that? Read that out in Persian. It's Persian, right, Mahu?
Yeah.
Amir
Persian.
Amir Khusro.
Ustu.
Hi
I don't
Mahu,
know
how are
if you
you?
can hear me.
We
Yes,
can
I
hear
can.
you.
We can hear you clear, loud and clear. Please go ahead. काफिर ए इश्काम मुसलमानी मरा दरकार निस्त हर
Yeah.
रग ए मन तर गश्त ए हाजत ई जुन्नार निस्त.
Yes. This is actually Urdu, but it's very
Urdu,
close
okay,
to
not
Persian.
Persian. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Right. Okay.
You
Shall I
want to
go
continue?
ahead?
Yeah, continue.
Yeah. I am the infidel begotten of love, who does not care for religion, even vein in my body, having become
Every
a
vein in my body.
every vein, every vein in my body having become a sacred thread. I am not in need of one. The
I'm
last
sorry. I'm sorry. This is Persian, but the old one. It's Kafare. Kafare
Okay.
Ishqam. Yeah.
Thank you.
مسلمانی مرا در کار نیست. So when he read the translation, I realized it is actually Farsi. هر رگ من در گشت حاجت زونار نیست. Very beautiful. It is Persian.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Thank you.
So when he's talking about a sacred thread, could one assume that's something like the Zoroastrian, the Persian, I mean the thread that's used? Because in Islam, I don't think there's anything like a sacred thread. And obviously, he's not talking about Hinduism, but he's saying kafir. So I am the infidel, which means I'm not Muslim, begotten of love, who does not care for religion, and every vein in my body having become a sacred thread, I'm not in need of one. So I don't know if he's referring to Zoroastrianism. Mahu, any thoughts?
Infidel begotten of love means out of marriage, you know. I think
No,
that's what it means.
No. Infidel is religion.
Kafar. No, infidel
Yes.
is kafar. Kafar is no religion, non-religion.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not sure if he's talking about it might be sacred thread, but it is not it's actually referring to that infidel begotten of love. But he may be. I'm not sure if Ali is, but
If he's from Persia, is he from Persia?
yeah, Amir Khosrow.
Yeah, I'm just looking him up. Was an Indo-Persian Sufi singer of the. Okay, so he's though Indo-Persian. Yeah, could be. Maybe he's talking about the Zoroastrianism or the Zoroastrian sacred thread.
Yeah, must be.
Amir
Yes.
Saifuddin was a Sunni Muslim. He grew up in Kesh. Okay. He was born a Muslim, so it probably has an influence of. Yeah. Okay. Just curious. Okay. The second line, Ravi, the last 11th hour.
The last 11th hour failure had, in spite of all desires for an escape, made Ali pessimistic in that connection. The exact date is not remembered by the boy, but from his surmises, it comes to 21st of September, the day on which the master took a bath and had a change of linen after 18 days, that Ali saw a brief but very significant dream. He dreamt that night that the master was dressed in dirty and torn clothes. During this peculiar non-bathing period, the master's apparently unclean white robe was also torn a bit, and looked at him very eagerly and invitingly. This little vision was enough to thrill the hero with fresh energy and hope for the third attempt. And the letter, dated 24th of September, already reproduced in the last chapter, speaks the rest of his plans and feelings in his connection. The very day that the master left Toka, Ali finally decided also upon an escape, which he effected the next day. Thus, on the 4th of October, according to the deliberate plan, which also included a good sleep, the boy, for the first time during this second separation, went to sleep soundly at 10 o'clock that morning in his father's shop near Paidoni, Bombay, after carefully instructing a servant to wake him up at 12. Punctual to the instruction, the servant roused him up. The next item of this peculiar program of the boy was to take a bath, change his clothes, and do full justice to bread and butter. And Ali, after refreshing his stained nerves with a long last sound sleep, went through all the other details as above to the last particulars. Those concerned were very pleased with this remarkable return of Ali to normal life, unsuspecting the venturesome intentions underlying this light activity. Love, can you go up a little bit? Love, where's the title, Karthik? Love, oh, same thing. Okay, sorry. I want to go to the Karnak Bandar shop. Karnak Bandar shop, said he to the guards placed upon him by his relentless father, who, finding the boy so sweetly reasonable that day, readily consented, but were carefully enough to accompany him. Thus the boy, whom a certain section of the Indian Penal Code had reduced into an abject slave, began to walk under the strict surveillance of his constant guards towards Karnak Bandar. In spite of an inborn optimism, the boy now suddenly felt a shock of doubt regarding his success, and so he went straight to a bookseller's shop and brought a copy of the works of Khawaja Hafiz. In order,
Khaja Hafiz. Khaja Hafiz.
Khaja Hafiz, Khaja.
Yeah, Khaja Hafiz.
In order that the reader may appreciate the strange act of Ali, I think it's necessary to introduce Khaja Shamsuddin Hafiz Shirazi, that perfect master and great poet of Persia in his true colors, and briefly touch upon the facts that concern the subject in question. The name Hafiz needs no introduction in the world of literature as a poet, but he is also popularly believed to be a saint in the Mohammedan countries. However, there are few who know him as one of the Kutubs or Sadgurus of his age. There are many who have tried to attribute spiritual significance and mystical meanings to his rich poetry, but according to the master, Hafiz had laid bare all the seven spiritual planes in the odes for those who, again in the words of the master, as well as Shams-e Tabriz, Jalaluddin Rumi, and Hugo of Saint Victor, have got the third eye of the heart, inward sense, and the eye of the soul, respectively. The, the commonest miracle attributed to this great master in many countries of the East is the accurate power of predicting events and unraveling mysteries that are believed to be possessed by the book of his divine poem, the Diwan-e-Hafiz. According to one of his life sketches written by Mirza Faizullah Khan of Rehlu, when the dispute arose over the performance of religious rituals in connection with Khaja Hafiz's own funeral, The contending parties agreed to abide by the answer that his own divan would given out. And when the book was opened at random, lo, it contained two lines which appeared as if Khaja Sahib had pre-written for this very occasion. Since that time, he came to be known as Lisanul Ghaib, that is the tongue of the unknown. Almost the Mughal emperors of India, Humayun and Jahangir, were great believers in Hafiz and the predictions conveyed by his Diwan. The copy of the Diwan, which they used to refer to for this purpose, is still preserved in a library at Bankipur and bears some references as to certain foretellings, together with the dates in their own royal handwritings. To give a fresh example of this peculiar power of Hafiz poetry is to pick up the last point of this narrative itself. After purchasing the book, Ali sincerely invoked the help of Khaja Sahib and opened the book to set his sudden shock of doubts at rest. The Diwan foretold success. All his misgivings disappeared at this divine prediction into thin air, and the hero resumed his prearranged tactics. He had already created a great confidence in his guards, and the purchase had added another good impression upon them. Thus, the more reasonably he behaved with them, the greater freedom the guards allowed to Ali. They perhaps thought the black magic had at last out, outrun its course, since it is on record that even these orthodox Mughals are fully alive to the great effect of love on the boys, but their age-long prejudices have made them attribute it to black magic, and consequently, many queer tales have penetrated into Meherabad about the funny antidotes experimented upon the poor souls, making their sufferings more piquant. piquant. Abiding this his time carefully, Ali somehow managed to get 10 minutes of freedom from surveillance, and in the space of this short time at last, he managed to reach the Victoria terminus. He had timed well his escape and so had not waited long in suspense. As soon as after he boarded the Nagpur mail, the fast train dashed out of Bombay. Ali still held the Diwan Hafiz tightly clasped against his heart as if it were a charm against the unexpected accidents. But within a few minutes run of the fast-going train, just as it passed the new Stanhurst Bridge station, Ali got a shock. It was, however, a very pleasant one. All of a sudden, the master had restored him the sight, to go into the technique of the varying degree of this inner faculty of sight, which is called tar in tasawwuf, is to start quite a new subject altogether. Suffice it to say that this time Ali began to experience the state of unity in diversity. In every object, the boy later on told the writer, I saw the master. For instance, if he looked at a tree, in every leaf of it he beheld none but his beloved Baba. No wonder that in this state of bliss and ecstasy, he found no longer any use for the book he had so long in the hands and without meaning. Any disrespect, the boy soon hurled it clean out of the onrushing train. Ali left the Nagpur mail at Manmad Junction and took the train for Daunt. He got down at Bellapur, the nearest but out of the way station to Toka, and managed to get a lift in a motor bus for Navesa, which is the chief town of this part of the district and is only only a few miles from Toka. So far, all went well with him, and the site too remained unchanged. But as soon as he arrived at Nevesa, a local Pathan recognized him and began to accuse him of having absconded again. No, I have not absconded. My brother is with me, replied Ali to the threatening Pathan, contriving to gain time and avoiding an immediate arrest. Where is your brother? Personality persistently inquired the very suspicious Pathan. For a moment, the boy was nonplussed, but they quickly thought of a plan and said, my brother is coming via Ahmednagar, and you will presently see him. At least till the buses arrived at Nevesa on their way to Toka from Ahmednagar, Ali thought he had succeeded in avoiding an arrest. Perhaps he had thought of giving the slip to the Pathan at the right moment. But now another nightmare loomed large before Ali. What if his father were to come by one of those buses? So when the buses came, Ali slipped away in the surrounding buses on one pretext or the other and began to watch for the dreadful advent of his father. But instead of his father, the boy saw with a sigh of relief that one of the passengers was Mr. K. J. Dastur. As luck would have it, the gentleman happened to be returning to Toka that very day after a short private visit to Bombay, and thus provided the brother for Ali to point out to the inquisitive Pathan. The rest is already known to the readers, but I would add that there was no demonstration on the return of the hero this time, just as no attempts were made to bring around his father. After seeing Ali, the master proceeded toward Aurangabad, sending the hero back to the colony, but the party did not actually reach the destination. For certain reasons, the master returned to Toka the following morning, 6th October, after passing a night under a wayside shelter.
It's the end of the chapter 20. So we'll take a pause again, and then Sanjay ji, you can read. So interesting, again, some places which we
Yeah.
can look up within Bombay. Do you recognize this place, Sanjay ji?
Which one?
Paidoni, Mumbai.
Paidoni is where we have the gold market, that area, you know.
Oh,
It is
okay,
still called
Paidoni.
Paidoni.
It's still
Yeah,
called Paidoni. Yeah,
it's still called Paidoni. Karnak Bandar is
uh,
still, you know, Karnak Bandar. It's a
yeah,
port.
yeah. It's still called Karnak
Yeah,
Bandar. Okay,
yeah, yeah.
the coast.
Uh, this-
It's right by the coast. Yeah,
yes, Karnak Bandar.
yeah.
Paidoni.
And
Nevasa
then,
is, yes, still called Nevasa. The
mhm.
even the buses, I think once or twice earlier when I didn't have a car, I took a bus. So Mumbai, Nagar, Nevasa.
Oh, so that's how he escaped. So he
So
bought the
yeah,
book here, and then that's right where the trains are. So
yeah.
he
So
just had to
Nevasa,
run.
yeah.
He had just run and get
Other,
on the train.
yeah. The other observation was Shamshat Tabriz was,
Yeah.
if I have, I can correctly remember, was the disciple of Hafiz, and
Uh,
Rumi was a disciple of Shamshat Tabriz. So Rumi was in 11th century. So this is the era that we are talking. But Baba's love for Hafiz is all known. So Rumi's poetry is equally popular because it can connect more to the current audience. Common people. His short lines. If you see, Rumi is very popular. People keep sharing. Even
correct.
I do that once in a while in the group.
Correct.
But Baba's love was for office, which was, I think, at a much different level.
Do you
I
read
mean, Baba
it? What
also liked
language do
Rumi.
you read Rumi, Sanjay? What
Yeah,
language? What language do you guys read Rumi from?
English,
What language?
English. I have that book,
Yeah.
Essential
If
Translation.
Rumi. Essential Rumi, one book that I have. And of course, it
Yeah.
keeps appearing on the internet all over the place. Yeah.
Unfortunately, the translation that has done from Rumi, it's not that great or accurate, but it still it gives the essence of it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I
actually, his love
recommend.
quotes are on the spiritual love, love and the beloved and all that. But if you see on the internet, it's more non-human level, man to woman kind of.
That's true. Yeah,
So it
yeah.
is also both are there, but it is also used as a common human love quotes, Rumi's quotes.
I think it is Baba's plan that he has introduced, they call him Rumi and Hafiz to the West. Now they've gotten very popular, and there are Baba,
Okay.
a few poets in Baba community who are translating them. So Baba wanted this to happen. Both are perfect masters, and both were reached their godhood, except that their master was different. As you said, the master for Rumi was Shams Tabrizi, and he's got one divan all in a praise of Shams Tabriz, which for him was God. And
Okay.
Hafiz's Hafiz's master was Attar. Yeah.
Yeah, so
But
I was just checking this. So it is also a title. So Hafiz is also a honorific. It's a honorific title, which means that a person who knows the Quran by heart. But Hafiz is the name. It is Ajay Hafiz that we read about, right? But then anybody, I mean, many others are also referred to as Hafiz. But if you see the usage only Hafiz, then it's only Khwaja Hafiz, who is Shamsuddin Muhammad Hafiz. Yeah, yeah. Just okay, cool. Let's get back. Fresh flow of spirituality. Sanjay ji, you're okay to read?
Yeah.
Yeah, Baba.
We have seen that unlike the disturbance caused in the Meher Ashram at the first forced removal of Ali, in the course of the second separation, neither the master looked worried nor the great revival of the spirit of love and devotion amongst the boys suffered in any way. On the contrary, the last three chapters show that the second blaze of the spirit of spirituality, particularly in the original section of the institution, went on soaring higher and higher and produced many a new candidate for the Prem Ashram section. But it was the return of the hero that proved that even the second period of his absence was not without consequences, since from the very next day of Ali's arrival, the master adopted quite an unprecedented course of working. He became lost to all save the Prem Ashram. He became lost to all save the Prem Ashram. Okay, good, get that. For 10 days and nights, from the fourth day of Ali's return, the master did not even step out of the Prem Ashram's boundary. From dawn till dusk, save the hours of the 12 to 2. Basically, save means accept here, accept the hours. Save the hours of the 12 to 2 throughout the dark, cold nights. His Holiness was seen working with a vengeance for the Prem Ashram inmates, and all the same time continuing the fasting system that he had adopted since the 10th of September. Thus, without taking food himself, His Holiness served out all means to the inmates every day. He would be annoyed to discuss, even for few minutes, on subjects other than Somebody shifting furniture, so maybe hearing some noise. Other than the Prem Ashram, whenever the different workers approached him for advice on some urgent question concerning other affairs of the colony, but he used to give lengthy discourse on love, on God, on the spiritual path for hours together to the Prem Ashram boys, twice, thrice, or even 4 times a day. Besides, he used to instruct them on various methods of meditation and concentration suitable to individual tendencies. A God realized personality never sleeps. There is nothing like sleep for him, as he sleeps soundly in the ordinary working state too. But a perfect master takes rest all the same. That is, goes into resting state, which is a point just between the sixth and the seventh spiritual planes. But during the period mentioned above, the master seldom took rest. He would keep moving amongst the boys all throughout the night, seeing for himself how they followed the instructions and helping them whenever necessary. Again, when the boys engaged themselves in the daily recreation or secular studies during the day, he would constantly remain in their presence and take an equally keen and lively interest in all their games and studies, while during the short intervals. While during the short intervals, His Holiness would make the boys sit around him and enjoy with them divine songs through Urdu, Persian, Marathi, and English records of famous singers on the gramophone. In short, His Holiness used to remain all absorbed in the affairs of the little ones for every second of their time, and thus always gave his physical presence before one or the other or all the Prem Ashram boys. It was a novel atmosphere, as it was only in the evening that rest of the Meher Ashram boys and other disciples and devotees would see His Holiness when they were allowed to come to him to pay their usual daily respects. Even then, none of them would be allowed to stay after 8:30 p.m. Thus, the hitherto unchallenged privilege of every disciple to call at the master's seat and to sit beside him whenever he liked to do so, provided he was off duty, was for the time being suspended. Consequently, the half an hour or so at their disposal every evening was hardly sufficient to enable the large number of the disciples and devotees to go through the formalities of paying their respects, and so none felt having enjoyed the inspiring company of His Holiness. Nay, even this half an hour's grace to the disciples did not appear to have been allowed by the Master quite freely, as he generally seemed to be preoccupied and at times unconscious of the surroundings in the gross sense. But the bodily seclusion of the Master within a fixed limit was not a new experience for the disciples. Even whilst remaining in a small room for 108 days last year, His Holiness, however, was accessible to anyone at any time, and thus continued making his presence felt amongst all, and also kept on taking interest in the rest of the affairs. But this time the master seemed to have secluded himself in the spirit too, and therefore, when His Holiness came out of the Prem Ashram boundary and partook of food after 42 days on the 23rd of October, it made no difference in the atmosphere. Although now he once began to move about freely, he might be said to have maintained his retreat all the more tightly, because 2 days prior to his coming out, next page, I think the chapter is over. Go up? No. His Holiness had entrusted sole powers of administration of the colony and all its affairs to Mr. R. K. Irani. All the inhabitants of Mehrabad were ordered to obey Mr. Irani in all matters and forbidden to approach the master under any circumstances. Even the new administrator, Mr. Irani himself, was forbidden to speak on any affairs of the colony with the master and was ordered to manage affairs according to his own discretion. Thus, divesting himself completely of the administration of Mehrabad and getting absolutely free from all engagements from the 23rd of October, the master continued working exclusively for the Prem Ashram for 1 month. Consequently, it was no wonder to hear great changes towards spiritual advancement having come over the lucky inmates. 1 meal a day and 3 hours of the sleep at night proved to be sufficient for most of them for maintaining their physiques in a prime condition without feeling that they were undergoing any privations. It must not be supposed that they devoted their entire time only to meditation and thus kept themselves drugged with concentration so as to forget or lose the normal craving for food and sleep, so that they created any unnatural stupor within them. If the master inspired them to meditate with all the seriousness in his command, if he delivered before them the spiritual lectures with serene solemnity, his holiness was no less cheerful and convivial in encouraging them to enjoy their daily recreations. With beaming eyes and smiling expressions, he used to take the boys every morning to the fine bathing ghats along the river Godavari, where they were taught to swim. So this Toka has Godavari. We are talking of Toka, right? There's a Godavari
Yes,
river.
yes, yes. So
Yeah.
if you look at the map, it was right by where the Meher Baba temple was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there it is, right? So that's Godavari and that's Meher Baba temple. So it's just facing that.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Where we were? Okay. He did not
I think
only
it,
encourage this we read.
yeah.
No, no. He did not
I
only
you read
encourage.
this. Yeah, yeah, you can
Okay.
repeat.
I he did not only encourage but would insist upon them all to have to go at a dive and enjoy the dip. Even Chota Baba, a fine swimmer himself, played no small part in training the boys to swim. With a will and whim of his own, he did not take him long to make them all swim gracefully in the Godavari. Consequently, when ripples were seen in the river, ripples of boyish joy and glee were also heard freely in the air about the spot where the Prem Ashram boys enjoyed themselves. In November, the master again struck a new note. His Holiness began to complain constantly about the climate of Toka for a number of times a day. It was a fact that with the advent of winter, the climate began to get decidedly nasty. The majority of the boys of both the sections of the ashram and a good many disciples were attacked with cold and cough, which would yield to no treatment successfully. The remarks repeated by the master now and then, in this connection, forewarned most of the disciples about some drastic changes. And so, when the master openly announced on the 18th of November his decision to remove back the original site of Mehrabad near the village of Arangaon, only a few were surprised at it. But the fact that except the selected boys, all the rest were to be sent away to their respective places on vacation appeared very strange. However, strange to the command, the disciples have had enough experience and are convinced of the selfless motives of His Holiness to obey him first, and ask questions afterwards. Accordingly, steps were at once taken to comply with the master's wish. All the boys, except the Prem Ashram inmates, were offered to betake themselves home, pending the completion of the new arrangement at Arangaon. Under normal circumstances, it is doubtful whether even a few of them would have preferred a holiday at home to the master's company. But the recent withdrawal of His Holiness for a month from amongst them had also prepared them for the separation, and the majority readily fell in with the suggestion. The same day, a batch of 7 boys went away. The following morning, 18 more followed suit, but it was in the evening that the real reason of this upheaval came to light. Ali's father appeared again at Toka to claim him. That he did not come earlier, he said, was due to ill health, and so his absence for a month and a half was no consent. On the contrary, he declared his firm resolve to take Ali away. There was no longer any legal or moral binding. Still, the authorities tried to induce the gentleman to leave Ali alone. But it goes without saying that no persuasions would succeed, and the gentleman took him away for the third time on the 20th of November. It now becomes very clear as daylight that the unprecedented fast working of the master in the Prem Ashram were readily a race with time to achieve certain internal results before Ali was again taken away, and that the master was prepared to advance for his third exit of Ali. As it is as it has been mentioned in chapter 2, the institution began with 10 Hindu boys. It could not be inappropriate to mention at this juncture that the number of boys on the 18th of November 1928 was 102 as follows. Oh, so there are, okay, Hindus, 11 Brahmins, 1 Jain Marwari, 1 Sonar, 15 Marathas, 2 Shimpis and 1 Pardeshi, 15 Mahar Mangs, okay, 3 Chambars.
Total of 49. So
Yeah,
Musalmans,
Muslims, 3
by Deccanis. So
Deccanis.
Deccanis must be those coming from Hyderabad. The Mughals
Ah,
is those coming from Persia. Boris are the Egyptian Gujarati Muslims.
ah,
Kachis
yeah.
are Bombay, and 5 foreigners. And foreigners must have
Mm-hmm.
been from Iran, the Aspandiar and others.
Mm-hmm.
So we also had a Christian, but he was an Indian. And
Okay, okay.
Zoroastrians, there were 6 Parsis and 26 Iranis, overall making up the 102 kids. Wow. I've not even heard of some of these castes. Shimpis, Mahar Monks,
Mahar,
Chambas.
Mahars are, I think,
Mahar I've
the
heard. Yeah.
scheduled castes. Jain,
Correct.
Marwadi, Brahmins, Marathas.
Hmm.
Sonar are the goldsmith caste, actually.
Goldsmith.
Marathis.
Yes,
They are
yes,
also
yes.
Maharashtrians, actually.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. Well. So that brings us
Right
to the
in
end of
time. Yeah.
this chapter, and we can continue with 22 on Saturday, next Saturday. But again, the journey is very interesting, I would say, to say the least. Okay. Any thoughts before we wrap up?
So Shimpi is a title in
I was
Maharashtra. I've come across that.
okay.
Oh, okay, nice. Okay. Yeah, Sanjay?
I was just wondering where are those records Baba used to hear with the kids?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah. I
songs?
think, Sunil, you
Which
have to mute
records?
your, yeah, those gramophone records. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe they must be there in the archives. I don't think if
Yeah.
they are, yeah, if they are available, they must have been preserved. I don't
So
think it
they
must have
should.
been lost unless Baba decided to, Baba also was famous for getting rid of stuff
Yeah.
suddenly or
Correct.
unexplainedly. So maybe
Yes,
that
yes.
would have happened also. We don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So we can wrap up on this note. Nice to see you after a long time. Mer Krishna, Mahu, your audio was fine. Please keep jumping in when you need to. Today was fine. And yeah, I think Mamaji's already jumped off. I will end on that note. I'll stop
It's
recording,
9:03,
but
man.
we